So this is kind of an interesting topic today, and something that I think I've changed my mind on quite a bit over the years. Simple question: should NBA players be loyal? Obviously, certain players are very much praised for that. Tim Duncan spent his entire career with the San Antonio Spurs, Dirk Nowitzki with the Dallas Mavericks, Kobe Bryant and the Los Angeles Lakers, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas. There's a lot of guys who spent the entirety of their careers with one team, and they're held in a higher regard for that. Is that a good thing? Should we be doing that? Are there recent examples that make you think maybe that isn't so much a good thing? Dario, what is your opinion on this? Do we appropriately celebrate guys for being loyal, or is maybe that something
I,
we
I,
shouldn't do as much?
I think we do. I think and even to to bring it to the to now, I think Steph Curry gets celebrated for staying as a warrior and creating that dynasty more
Yeah,
than LeBron does for jumping ship and winning the same amount of championships.
sure, sure,
So I think definitely if you can make it work. But my only thing is I think you should be loyal to an extent, right? Give the
sure.
organization a chance to actually try to build around you and
Like
show
some
them.
guys are loyal to a fault, you would say?
Yeah, like Dame Lillard, right? Dame Lillard
Mm-hmm.
was loyal to Portland for 10, right? It was about 10 years, I want to say, something like that. And they never really built a championship team around him. He did get some opportunities, and I feel like he should have taken advantage, especially in 2019. But either way, like he at least gave them an opportunity before, and then saw that I think Dame's example is perfect, right? Like he gave them their opportunity to build teams around them, and then once they saw they were about to go into a rebuilding phase again, they kind of let Dame like leave because they wanted to let him get his shot, which is cool. But I think it should be more like that, where you're giving the organization an opportunity. But if you're going to be held to the same standards as everybody else in NBA history, but then you have an incompetent organization,
For sure.
it's not really fair. Like for instance, LeBron James staying in Cleveland after his first contract, I think would have been a dumb decision. I think it was
Sure.
smart, actually smart for him to go to leave. I don't know if it was smart to just build the super team with all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it went from
I think
one
that's the
extreme
part.
to the other.
Yeah, like it would have been better if him and Bosch went to somewhere else that didn't have a third star, and then you kind of make more at least a little bit more, or felt more a little bit more competitive going into that. But when you're trying to take advantage of your free agency and then um, just completely turning the tables like KD and LeBron did, I think that's where you kind of lose a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Like I think organizations should get the chance to build around you. If they show that they're incompetent, then that's when you should have the opportunity to say, "All right, I'm gonna leave. I gave you your chance." Like it should go both ways.
Yeah, for sure. What's going back to the LeBron thing? I'm still annoyed he didn't go to New York. That was the choice
Yeah.
for me,
Yep.
especially because he said he loved Madison Square Garden. Plus, it's the Big Apple, man. Like
Yeah.
MSG, like they tried to turn Carmelo Anthony into the guy, into the
Yeah.
star of the city. It is too big for him. He can't handle that. They needed LeBron to do that. And somewhere in an alternate universe, it's as it should be. So dang it, LeBron, for picking Miami and taking the easy road. But anyway, uh,
Because that would have
I,
made him more competitive, though, right? Like if he
that
would
would
have
have
went
made
with
it more
that.
competitive for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. It didn't feel like he was going from like one jump to the other. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
some people are going to say like Knicks management was bad and everything. I think LeBron's proven that times. You give him just another talented piece, he could be good enough to win even without the best coaching or management and all that. But I digress. I think I agree with you. I think loyalty is good, but loyalty to a fault is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
You mentioned Damian Lillard, and I think that's a great example. One of the guys I think of quite often is Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett played for the Minnesota Timberwolves and didn't have a ton of support. I mention it all the time, and I'm going to keep mentioning it until they change it. Statistically, from a win to loss ratio, they're the most losing franchise in NBA history. And that was definitely the case leading up to Kevin Garnett, where they just were not good. They were a recent expansion team. So he goes there and he loves playing for Minnesota and he loves supporting them. But if he joined Boston, 1 year later than he did, it's over. He ends his career without a championship. That window is shut. And even when he did win in Boston, I'm telling you, like Boston KG was nice, and he did win Defensive Player of the Year there. I feel like he was in a position to be rewarded that. He was at times a better defender in Minnesota. But I feel like that was a recognition of the fact that he was on a really good team now. KG in Minnesota was ridiculous, man, and had them being a competitive team when they had no business being a competitive team. So that's a good example for that. If I was a young guy who was a young superstar, say I'm like an Anthony Edwards type, I think that's a good example.
Yeah.
You're Anthony Edwards and you're with Minnesota. If I was with my agent, I would personally try to set up my contract, whatever contracts I signed, because we all like money, right? But there's no way, me being the NBA history buff that I am, if you put me in the NBA, I'm going to be content ending my career without a championship if I had the opportunity to get one.
Yeah.
So screw the extra millions. When I get to the age 27, that would be my thing. 27, I want an option to look to see if the grass is greener somewhere else, if I've been busting my butt for this organization that can't support me. That was the thing. And, people want to talk about, oh, well, Kobe asked to be traded. He wasn't loyal. I got to admit, even then, when I was a Lakers fan, I didn't have a problem with it. I did not have a problem with it. I didn't want him to leave because he was Kobe and he was special, and I did think he was good enough to win a championship with us. But I was looking at the fact that we just traded Shaq. We just hired, Rudy Tomjanovich, had him just for a little bit, and then brought back Phil Jackson to try to work the magic again. Yeah. We have Chucky Atkins and Smush Parker and this revolving door of point guards, and then Kwame Brown and Chris Mim. I'm like, what are we doing, dude? This crap's a mess. We have Slava Medvedenko like in here still, like lingering around, shooting too many shots. Like Luke Walton was asked to do too much. Lamar Odom, who eventually was the sixth man, is asked to be Scottie Pippen. Like, this organization's a mess. It's a relic of better times in the past. Kobe has all the right to want to go to like Chicago or Dallas or wherever he wanted to go. Honestly, that's how I felt even then. And so that's the way I would do it, is loyalty up to a point.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, you got to make sure that you don't end that career saying that guy was good enough to win a championship, but he didn't have the opportunity to, because history is not kind to those guys. Like Dominique Wilkins in the 80s going toe to toe with Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and only the biggest hoop heads remember that, because they don't talk about that anymore. It's either you were a champion or you were not. And unfortunately, he's in the not group. And so, I feel like you got to see those opportunities.
To add to that point, because, we did just have a conversation about Kevin Garnett and kind of where he would and I kind of downplayed his career a little bit because he didn't win that much. And it's true, like, he was in the incompetent organization, and now when I'm starting to compare him to Tim Duncan, that's where they probably have similarities or close in terms of skill and what they can do. But because they're in two completely different type of organizations, obviously Tim Duncan with the Spurs, who is super competent at the time, obviously before that, they had their history. And then Kevin Garnett being with the Timberwolves, one of the worst organizations in league history, that mattered a ton. So, like, I think no matter what, being loyal, just like if you're trying to be loyal and then still get the love, over time that love is gonna kind of go away if you don't win. Like, and that's unfortunate, but it's true.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying about like history not being kind. What is that loyalty to Minnesota doing for him now? I think about all the time, what could KG have done if he was in Phoenix?
Yeah.
Or if he was with Kobe shortly after they lost Shaq, or if he was in an organization like San Antonio and he had all those years to compete in the playoffs, like Tim Duncan had the benefit of doing. I ask that as a Lakers fan who's not directly connected to him. I can only imagine how many times Kevin Garnett asked that of himself.
Yeah.
Like, he could be seen potentially in the conversation of the greatest power forward of all time, but he's not, because he was loyal to a team. But again, every once in a while, they'll do something in your honor and stuff. But what is that loyalty leading to for you now? So again, you have to seize that opportunity. I'm not saying you immediately leave an organization like Minnesota if they've been good to you and everything, but you give them a window. And then when that window's done, you gotta look somewhere else in your best interest. And I did talk about over time how my opinion on this has changed a little bit. The biggest reason why it has is because we have learned on the other side they're almost never loyal to you. One of the organizations that is actually pretty good about that is the Lakers of all teams, who kept giving Kobe massive contracts after he tore his Achilles in his mid 30s, who, to his credit, has let LeBron play in Los Angeles basically as long as he wants.
Yeah.
But then there's organizations like Boston who did what they did, to Isaiah Thomas. Then there's organizations like the Dallas Mavericks who traded away Luka in the middle of the night without even notifying him or basically anyone for that matter. So now he's breaking down in tears because his whole life was uprooted with no warning in the prime of his career after he just took him to the finals.
Yeah.
So again, being loyal to a fan base is one thing. But that also collaterally means you're being loyal to an organization that doesn't care about you, man.
Yeah. I think it can't go too far in either extreme, right? Because I think if you're a guy that's just jumping around, ring hopping, that's obviously gonna do pretty bad to your career. And I think because that at this point, like a guy like Kevin Durant, he's been on like 4 or 5 teams at this point. Yeah. If he wins another championship, I'm not even sure. Like for instance, if he wins a championship in Houston, I feel like he's still not going to get the credit that he probably deserves because you went to the 2 seed from the year before that lost in the first round. And even if he does win, they're gonna someone I know in the future. If Kevin Durant wins this year, they're 100% gonna say, "Well, they were the 2 seed the year before. What do you expect?" Like I'm almost 100% sure that's gonna be the case.
That's if they win. I don't expect them to win, but like let me put it this way with KD because I think it's a great example. If he doesn't win another championship and his career ends, which organization do you associate Kevin Durant with? Genuinely, I'm asking that question. Which organization is the most likely to honor Kevin Durant years from now?
It should be Oklahoma City, but I don't think they don't accept him. So it should. So it really should be because OKC wouldn't accept it. It should then be Golden State. But it's also one of those you were here for 3 years, So.
And it's like both of those situations are like dicey, where it's like with OKC, they were booing him. He was booing them back in a recent regular season game. He was booing them back. And they're like, we won a championship without you. This guy, SGA, did what you could not.
Yeah.
And then with Golden State, Draymond told them how they felt.
Yeah.
We did it before you. We did it after you. We never really needed you, And so, yeah, that is a perfect example of the opposite extreme where you almost moved around too much where it's convenient for you to where it's like hurting your legacy to a certain extent. And I think that you probably just can't have a completely black and white answer one way or another.
Yeah.
Is loyalty good? Should NBA players be loyal? Sometimes, to a certain extent. But I definitely think in the long run, it can really hinder you because, again, nobody talks about how grateful they were for Alex English for making them moderately competitive on the Denver Nuggets throughout the 80s while he watched Magic Johnson and Larry Bird and Isaiah Thomas win all those championships. Nobody says that.
Yeah.